Hey guys, this video is being released on August 1st, 2026, which is my 39th birthday and should be the first month of law school for most students beginning their 1L year now in 2026. If you're watching this in the future, well then, congratulations on your future acceptance to law school. Now, before I continue, a few disclaimers. First, I am not an expert in law school. As I've mentioned here before, I had to work and unfortunately wasn't able to balance that into more than being an admittedly mid student. Secondly, this is just my experience. Every single piece of advice I give you here comes with a caveat concerning whether it works for you. If a decision I make seems like a stupid one to you, then by all means you may elect to ignore it. And lastly, before I give my advice in earnest, don't listen to me. More specifically, don't listen to me alone. I went into this with zero legal experience, but you may have family and friends who are attorneys and have gone through this process whom you can reach out to for advice. Use them. Now, on to our feature presentation. Congratulations! You are entering what has the potential to become the most consequential period of your life. Many of you are about to make friends and connections that are going to last a lifetime. Several of you are about to set yourselves up to be unstoppable successes. And some of you are going to be giant balls of anxiety who are feeling like they are drowning because what the hell even is this experience and why are you feeling overwhelmed for the first time in your life? That's okay. Relax. You got here because you deserve to be here. You made the grades. You took your exam. You filled out your applications. You traveled to where you're meant to be. At least for now, but we'll get into that later. I'm gonna change things up a bit and give you what I think your professors will want to be my first piece of advice. Read the syllabus. Your nights are going to be filled with mind-numbing readings in the hundreds, if not thousands of pages. So taking the time to read 4 to 10 pages before your classes begin is not a huge ask. Also, it's a mystery mouse tool that will help us later. Now that that's out of the way, my first practical advice is sleep. There's little that the extra 2 hours of being awake when you're dog tired is going to do that wouldn't be more beneficial by sleeping those extra 2 hours. This is going to sound weird now, but you will understand soon. Law lectures are exhausting, especially if you have a genuine interest in them. I know many of us were humanities majors and stayed far away from the sciences and especially not neuroscience, but your brain is a very specialized organ with its own metabolism and a very, very draining way of using glucose and oxygen resources in order to function. So keep your brain healthy and sleep. But that also leads into my next piece of advice. Eat, snack, bring some sort of food, preferably something quiet. And if you have to get it out of the wrapper beforehand and put it into a Ziploc bag before class, that's preferable so your snacking doesn't interrupt those around you. But like I said earlier, your brain runs on fuel and you are going to quickly learn how quickly that can be burned. I personally am a huge fan of almonds, so is Brendan Lee Mulligan. I also like going to get some dried fruit. And just ignore all of my finals videos where you see me loading up on Sour Patch Kids. We're gonna pretend that that doesn't happen because that is a special treat for me during finals so I can stay sane. Oh, also craisins are great. But find what you like and regularly ingest it throughout the day. Also, do whatever it takes for you to take care of your own body. Whether it's cardio, whether it's lifting, whether it's yoga, try to keep yourself somewhat active because there's gonna be a ton of sitting in class. And hey, if you can pull it off, do your readings on the treadmill. I didn't discover that until late last year and I kind of wish I discovered it earlier because it was very beneficial. Now that we've talked about keeping your mind and body up to the task of law school, let's talk about law school to begin with. And I'm going back to that mystery mouse tool I brought up earlier, the syllabus. The syllabus is your biggest key to success, and it should lay out exactly what your professor expects and what you are assigned to read and what you're assigned to do, and tell you when you are assigned to read it and do it. Plus, it tells you how to both contact your professor and your TA and their office hours. Use them. The TA is going to be incredibly useful because they were a student a lot more recently than your professor in most circumstances. So they should know on a more recent, realistic level what it is you need to be prepared for and what possible traps you may fall into. And they will also understand what modern life is like as a student because they were at most 2 years prior to you in it. If you find a quality TA, cherish them. I love you, Alex and Alex. Yes, I had 2 TAs named Alex and they looked similar. It was very, very difficult to remember which one I was talking to for property and which one for con law, but they were both wonderful. And here's a secret. I'd put my non-existent money on the fact that most professors wish you had taken the time that they offered so that you could be the best success possible. They know it's part of their jobs, and even though the curve does exist, and we'll get to that momentarily, they still take pride in your success and want to train the best legal professionals they can. The time is there for you to use, so use it and do so efficiently. And one last thing we'll talk about with the syllabus. This is your outline skeleton. There are a ton of videos online which heavily discuss the importance of outlining from day one, but there are so few that tell you how to do it. So I'm going to make an attempt. And please remember, I am at best a mid student. Your syllabus will have your readings, what the topics of the readings are, and what day they are due. It has the order of classes. Use that with the structure. Use that to build the structure. Create a file that has its framework and make it so that you can insert your notes underneath. That is the very basic business of outlines. You'll find what works for yourself later, but there's a bit of time for that. On that note, find a note-taking style, system, program, or method that works for you. Learning is an individual experience. Some may need handwritten notes, some thrive on typing, but everyone needs something that specifically works for them. Personally, I like writing my notes in class, typing my notes in class in Obsidian. I think Markdown is an incredibly useful tool, but I do like to handwrite notes when I'm able to do my readings, and there is things that talk about how that is neurologically better for you building pathways. I'm not getting into that. I'm not a STEM major. Philosophy and linguistics, that's my bag. You'll find what works for you. Now comes the final part, the community of law school. Now the sad reality is that because of the way law school is structured, you are competing directly against every one of your classmates. That's daunting and it sucks, but that doesn't mean you won't find your people amongst your alleged competition. First, check out all the clubs and affinity groups that pique your interest. Chances are, if you have a shared community or interest, you'll do well to meet together. Plus, it's a great way to score free food. I'm not a FedSoc guy, but I can't tell you how many times I went and enjoyed kava on their dime. Though sadly, the bags of kava did not contain $50,000. I would have been very much happier if they did. But an added bonus is that a lot of these groups also have outline banks and notes from previous years, often from the same professors that you're gonna have. This is especially useful because you get to see many people's different interpretation of what the professors taught, and usually there's a grade requirement for submitting the outlines to banks. Some will be like whatever the median grade is, like a B+. Some will say you have to have gotten an A minus, or A+ in that class. You'll find out in the groups, but it means that you're only going to be learning from the most successful students. And again, that's a generalization. Check local listings. But for my final piece of advice, I know I'm saying this as an extrovert an extreme extrovert who's coming to you through your particular internet box of choice. But I implore you, just talk to each other. If you see someone who seems interesting, is wearing something very interesting, perhaps a fun accessory, perhaps they went to your same college, or they're just off on their own or in a small little group, say hi. Introduce yourself. These are the people you're stuck with for the next 3 years. Again, a small asterisk on that, which I'll explain later. And beyond that, these are going to be your contemporaries in your career and your colleagues. Find some that you can cherish. I personally currently have 2 friends that I consider sisters. One is like an adopted twin sister that actually kind of looks like an alternate universe version of my actual twin, not twin sister. And one is like an extra baby sister. And no, I don't mean that demeaning. I mean that in a way where I am 16 years older than most of my classmates. They're babies. And lastly, don't despair if you don't do as well as you think you will. Like I said at the beginning of this video, you are here because you deserve to be, but so is everyone else. And for most schools, there's a mandatory curve that must be met. Special middle finger to Yale because you guys don't get grades. I have friends at Yale. I get very mad when it comes time for finals. But that means that you may be an absolutely brilliant student. But if everybody else is just as brilliant as you, and maybe just a point better of a writer, that slides you down the curve pretty quickly. And even if you did great, great is no longer good enough, and excellence belongs to an infinitesimally small minority. Before I go, I had some, let's call them friends. Look at this. And I'll introduce them in a later video, but here I'm going to introduce them and kind of give you their advice verbatim. And first off, we're going to start with my boy Theo, who is admittedly a much heavier AI proponent than myself. And he says that one thing on the note-taking front, don't sleep on AI tools. I use them constantly, turning a semester's worth of scatter notes into something I can actually study from, checking my own understanding of a rule before I walk into class. It is not a replacement for doing the reading, and if you let it do your thinking for you, you are going to get cooked on a cold call. We'll get to that. But used right, it's one of the biggest study time multipliers available to you that didn't exist for classes before you. Use it to check yourself, not to skip yourself. And I'm going to throw a caveat on Theo's advice here. Check your school's AI policies before doing anything with AI, especially legal writing. You do not want to have any sort of academic honesty issue. Just check, just look. Your professors honestly are probably going to have guidance before you even get there, but I'm throwing that there just in case. Next up though, we're going to talk about Margie, who stresses the importance of efficiency. And Margie says, also, and this took me embarrassingly long to learn, not everything gets the same amount of your effort. Some readings you skim for the holdings and move on. Some you need to sit with for an hour. Some classes you go into cold call ready every single day. Others you can coast a little if the professor telegraphs who's up. Learning which is which week to week is its own skill, and it's the one that actually gets you through the semester without burning out by week 6. And to Margie's advice, I'll add that there's a rhythm to each class, and you'll find it. I have one professor that I'm super excited to have once again this semester because they trim so much fat from the decisions they have us read, where it makes the readings super digestible and direct. So it can depend on which professor as much as which subject. Anyway, Priya wanted to add to the outline bank conversation, where she says, quick add to the outline bank point. Absolutely use them. They're a gift. But here's the test. If you can't explain in your own words why a rule in that outline is stated that way, you don't actually have it yet. You just have a really nice looking document. The outline banks are a map that other people drew. Make sure you can still find your way if someone took the map from you. Marcus, on the other hand, is giving me some serious side-eye because he noticed a glaring gap in what I addressed in this video, and I'll let his words come through. And okay, nobody said the actual scary word yet, so I will. Cold calls, the Socratic method. Yes, your professor might call on you out of nowhere and ask you to explain a case you read at 1 a.m. It's genuinely nerve-wracking the first few times. Here's the thing that actually helps. The goal was never to have the perfect answer. It's to show you actually engaged with the material and can think out loud about it. Read closely enough that you could explain the case to a friend who hasn't read it, and you'll survive every cold call that matters. And there's a reason that I actually didn't think once about cold calls, and that's because RN Jesus loves me. My entire first year, I had a grand total of 0 cold calls, and only 1 if you count the ones where the teacher went down the class roster and published who would be called upon next week in advance. Even my instructor that used a random number generator, I was never called upon. Then again, I sat in the front row center, and it's always been my belief that artillery doesn't hit the front lines. And lastly, my shrewdest reviewer, who is wrapping this up perfectly, Eleanor. One more thing, and I promise this is the last serious one. However you use the outline banks, study groups, or AI tools, know the difference between using a resource and passing off someone else's work as your own understanding. Every state bar application asks about academic integrity issues from law school. Not to scare you, most of you will never come close to that line. But it's worth knowing on day 1 that the honesty of your process here follows you further than a single semester's grade does. Perfect. No notes. Your time is now. I believe in you. I'm rooting for you. My inbox is open across every platform, and if you have any questions, requests, or anything, then don't hesitate to reach out. You can find me on Patreon at patreon.com/thebrokelawstudent. But honestly, if you're a law student watching this, I implore you, hold on to your own funds and focus on yourself. You can find me on Reddit under my actual name, R. Felix Finch, and you can find me on Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok as The Broke Law Student. And YouTube brought back messages, so if you want, you can hit me here as well. Please like this video if it was useful to you. Subscribe to my channel, and remember to relax. You'll be okay. Peace out, party peoples. You got this.